Yeah, that's the stuff. So Don't Breathe is yet another horror movie to come out this summer. We had Conjuring 2, we had Lights Out, which that review it's coming. I've seen the movie. Lights Out review is coming. But the premise of this movie is really simple. You got some kids, they make a living off robbing people. A couple of them are trying to get out to the coast of California, and they find this easy target. It's this blind guy living alone at his house. They go to steal all this money that they found out he keeps in the safe. Only problem is they're trying to rob Stephen Lang. I mean, just look at that guy. I would even rob him even if he was blind. But of course, things go terribly wrong. Stephen Lang kills one of the guys at the beginning. That's not a spoiler, right? That was in the trailer. And from there on, you got Dylan Minnette and Jane Levy, and they're trying to escape the Lang. I might be over-exaggerating this, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Don't Breathe is the scariest movie I have ever seen in my entire life. Now, I'm not too steeped in the horror genre. I've seen most of the classics. I've seen Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen Psycho, The Birds, I've seen a good amount of horror movies. But something about this movie really just got under my skin. A lot of that goes to the directing done by Fede Alvarez. Because pretty much this entire movie takes place in that one house, and it's such a claustrophobic, contained setting that this movie is aptly titled Don't Breathe, because when the people on the screen aren't breathing, you're not breathing either. There's a couple times I had my popcorn, I was in like mid popcorn chewing, and Stephen Lang came around the corner and I just went, don't breathe, he can see us. I was freaking out, I was on the edge of my seat. Part of it I think also was the sound design, because they use their sounds and their lights, and they just use they maximize everything in this movie. So when Stephen Lang fires his gun, you can feel the impact of that bullet. And this movie doesn't really rely on jump scares. I'd say there's one jump scare near the beginning of the movie where it was more of just played for rather than advancing the story. But for the most part, the jump scares in this movie are great. They benefit the story. But let's talk about this cast. I mean, Stephen Lang. This guy is like if John Wick went blind and just had a really bad day. He is an unstoppable force. There's a couple times when they're walking and Stephen Lang rounds the corner and he smells something or he can feel something. The way you can tell his other senses are kind of heightened. He's doing this thing and smelling a little bit and hearing more. There's a couple times he just comes completely out of nowhere. There's some times when it feels like the kids are safe, but they're hurt and they're trying to like wiggle out of this one scenario. One scene in particular, without giving too much away, Dylan Minnette is trying to slowly maneuver his way around this one tough spot, and I thought Stephen Lang was in a completely other room. So the camera's on top of Dylan Minnette, right, and he's like kind of slowly moving. I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna make it out of this. And then the camera pans up and Stephen Lang's got his gun right on top of his face. I was just like, oh, come on. Like for most of the movie, I was looking like this. And that was because Stephen Lang was just a force to be reckoned with in this movie. But it's not just Stephen Lang. Jane Levy and Dylan Minnette are really good too. I don't ever think I've seen anything Jane Levy's been in. But with these crooks, especially with Jane Levy, because she's more of the one like, yeah, let's do it, let's rob this guy. I was like, they're crooks, I can't root for these guys. But they give you a reason to root for Jane Levy. They show you that her family life is not great and she's trying to escape. She's trying to take her little sister with her, move away with this money, create a better life for her sister. And so with that, I was like, all right, I can get on board with you here. And Dylan Minnette, before this movie, Dylan Minnette was the Goosebumps kid. That's what I called him whenever I was like, oh, Goosebumps kid. But after this movie, I was just like, I gotta learn this guy's name. Just from Jane Levy and Dylan Minnette's facial expressions, you can tell the amount of horror that Stephen Lang has just put into them. They're messed up physically and psychologically through this movie. Like they just have looks of pure terror when Stephen Lang's there. There's a couple of times where this movie does move away from that claustrophobic thriller setting that it's been building for the majority of the movie. But even in those scenes, I was still so tense. And this movie doesn't waste any time either. They're hiding from Stephen Lang probably in the first 15 to 20 minutes of it. And from there till literally the movie fades to black and the credits start, I was hooked. This movie scared the crap out of me. It was so intense, but it's not really, like it's not scares. It's not a demon that's chasing them. Stephen Lang is just a regular guy. And maybe that's part of it. I feel like this could actually kind of happen because Stephen Lang never really does cross that border into super soldier territory. He's just a blind dude trying to defend his home and kill a couple people on the way. So go see Don't Breathe. If you haven't seen Don't Breathe, even if you don't like horror movies, it's kind of one of those movies you gotta see just to say, I lived through Don't Breathe. My opinion, one of the best movies of the year, made up for the majority of the summer kind of being a little lackluster. This summer had great bookends though. Civil War, Don't Breathe. The middle of it was a little And I'd say they're all terrible because we got Kubo this summer, we got Hunt for the Wilder People this summer, we got Star Trek, that was pretty good. Yeah, the summer started strong, ended strong. I'm happy. So what is the scariest movie you have ever seen in your entire life? If I didn't say Don't Breathe, it might be Silence of the Lambs, maybe? Or the original Poltergeist. That one's a little more fun, though. Whatever the scariest movie for you is, comment down below. Let me know what that is. And thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, you can click subscribe and check out some of my other stuff. And I'll catch you guys next time.